The determined farmer and the rocky field. Tom wipes the sweat from his brow as he stood looking at his field. The morning sun was just rising over the hills, casting long shadows across the land he had inherited from his father. It was the worst piece of farmland in the entire valley, full of rocks, hard clay soil, and weeds. All the other farmers in the village had good land near the river, but Tom's field was on a dry hillside where nothing seemed to grow well. Another day, another struggle, Tom muttered to himself as he picked up his shovel. His neighbor Sam came walking by, leading his donkey to the bitter fields down by the river. Still trying to farm that worthless land, Tom? Sam called out with a laugh. You would have better luck growing rocks than crops up there. Tom just smiled and keeps walking. He had heard these jokes many times before. The other villagers all thought he was foolish for not giving up on this land. Even his own wife sometimes wondered why he keeps trying. But it's my land, Tom would say, and where there is land, there is hope. The first attempt. That first season, Tom worked harder than anyone in the village, from sunrise to sunset. He dug up rocks and carried them to the edge of his field. Building a stone wall, his hands became rough and calloused. His back ached every night, but slowly he cleared a small section of land. He planted wheat seeds, carefully covering them with the best soil he could find. Every morning, he would check his field, hoping to see green shoots. After 2 weeks, tiny sprouts appeared. Tom was overjoyed. He ran home to tell his wife, Mary, "See, I told you, we could grow something," he said excitedly. Mary smiled but looked worried. "It's a good start, Tom, but we need more than a few sprouts to survive the winter." The storm that tested his resolve. One night, a terrible storm came. Heavy rains poured down for hours. Tom lay awake, listening to the thunder, worrying about his young plants. At first light, he rushed to his field, only to find most of his plants washed away. The few remaining ones looked weak and damaged. Sam came by later that morning. "Nature has spoken, Tom," he said, "not unkindly. This land isn't meant for farming. Why don't you come work for me instead?" Tom looked at the ruined field, then at his blistered hands. For a moment, he considered giving up, but then he remembered his father's words. A farmer's greatest tool isn't his plow, it's his patience. "No, thank you, Sam," Tom said finally. "I'm going to try again." A new approach. This time, Tom worked smarter. He studied how the water flowed during rains and built small stone channels to control the runoff. He collected manure from the village animals to enrich the soil. And instead of planting everything at once, he divided his field into sections to experiment. The other farmers shook their heads. Crazy Tom and his rock field, they muttered. Months passed. Tom's skin darkened from working all day in the sun. His muscles grew strong from moving endless rocks, and slowly, very slowly, his field began to change. The turning point. One morning in late summer, something amazing happened. Tom's wheat stood tall and golden, waving gently in the breeze. His vegetable patch was full of plump tomatoes, onions, and beans. The field that everyone said was worthless had become productive. The village chief came to see with his own eyes. "I don't believe it," he said, touching the sturdy wheat stalks. "Tom, you have done the impossible. Sam was especially surprised. "How did you do it?" he asks, his voice full of wonder. Tom wiped his dirty hands on his pants and smiled. "One rock at a time, Sam. One rock at a time." The Harvest Festival. At the next Harvest Festival, Tom brought baskets of his produce to share. The villagers who had once laughed at him now lined up to taste food grown in the worthless field. The village chief stood up to speak. "Tom has taught us all an important lesson today. Good land makes farming easy, but determination makes any land good." From that day on, no one called it Tom's Rocky Field. They called it the Miracle Hill. And when other farmers struggled with poor land, they would come ask Tom for advice. Years later, many seasons passed. Tom's hair turned gray, but he still worked his field every day. His children and grandchildren helped now, learning his methods. One evening, young Tim, Tom's grandson, asks, "Grandfather, why did you never give up on this land when everyone said you should?" Tom put his arm around the boy and pointed to the fertile fields around them. "Because, Tim, every problem is just an opportunity in work clothes. These rocks," he picked up a small stone and smiled, "they weren't in my way. They showed me the way."